When I was very young, I went on a school trip to Dublin Zoo and overheard a guide talking to a group of adults about the destruction of wild habitats. And I came home in tears and upset and anger at what the grown-ups had done to the animals in the world. And I think that was the catalyst for my lifelong interest in sustainability. I had been interested in sustainability all my life, but it was experiences like these that put me on an environmental journey. When I was 8, I brought a biodegradable water bottle into school. My principal, who immediately saw the value in it, asked me to make it the school bottle and to work with my classmates to brand it and sell it in the school shop. And I didn't know it at the time, but that would be my first exposure and first experience in systems change. After doing this, I got quite into environmental sustainability and I started doing more and more projects because I loved how easy it was to turn a small change into a big impact. In 2019, I was lucky enough to be selected for the Irish Youth Assembly on Climate Change, a nationwide assembly of 157 youth candidates who took the places of politicians for a day to come up with solutions at policy level. And in 2021, I was fortunate enough to be the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland's Emerging Sustainable Energy Champion. And this is important because it opened a door for me to attend the Green School Bally for 2 years. And later on that journey, I got into Atlantic's GLE summer programme, which of course, if Maria's watching this, knows that's what brought me here today. I come from a small island nation that made the jump from developing to high development status in a really short space of time. An interesting thing about top-level Irish leadership is that on the political level, we don't have a left-right divide. We have two centre parties that almost always form collaborative coalition governments. It's my belief that around the world today, in the face of our growing intercommunal challenges, it's getting harder and harder to find true collaboration, compromise and facilitative leadership, and that this is at the heart of our lingering inability to deal with our problems. We of course see this at the top levels of our global institutions, but it's more profound at the grassroots. As our shared systemic challenges affect us more and more, our human tendency to close off and turn inwards is becoming more apparent. I see it in the rise of divisiveness and us versus them attitudes among us. So what's the solution? Be effective leaders, facilitate collaboration, compromise, principled action, and we'll be ready to face all our shared challenges. Obviously, but it's not easy to do this. This is water, and its richness as an object goes beyond what we could ever imagine. Over the past year, I've been working with Achuar Indigenous leaders in the Ecuadorian Amazon to develop a floating island food production strategy on ponds that look just like this, to enhance food sovereignty and address protein deficiency in Achuar Indigenous communities. This is Charamensa community's first floating island farm, and it uses existing high nutrient water resources to grow spring onions for the first time ever in the community. Spring onions are high in vitamin B9, which is an essential nutrient in combating anemia and child malnutrition, which are both urgent challenges in Charamensa community. The water-based islands address these issues by creating a stable local source of protein in vegetables, in a way that doesn't harm the environment but actually benefits it. This is because the plants are feeding directly off the excess fish waste in the ponds, which were brought in a few years ago by an NGO but have cleanliness issues. The aquaponics cycle means that, in feeding off the nutrition the fish produce, the community is not only cleaning the ponds of their super high nutrition, it's also producing nutritious food that could never before survive the harsh Amazonian soil. And it's doing it without deforestation, plastic, fertilizer or pesticides. The challenge though isn't about building a floating island. It's about fostering collaborative leadership and bridging mindsets. For example, monkeys are a constant pest that pilfer crops that grow above ground. And an Achuar solution to this was to grow extra crop specifically to feed them. And this was actually a really difficult idea to pitch to some of the contributors in Ireland who had very real reasons to disagree. The experience taught me that a leader's duty is not to be the loudest or most powerful person in a room or to dominate in their environment, but to be like water, to facilitate others and create a space which they can succeed. A true leader succeeds in themselves by getting their team to think highly of themselves and moves each member of that team towards a leadership role. A good leader also knows when to follow. In another project, this one for my time in Green School Bally, I started a free survival swimming program for young children in my area where I lived. And I learned that teaching children water safety skills wasn't about water skills. It was about building trust with parents and the community, finding the right partners and designing something that could continue after I left. And I've seen that same pattern in aquaponics, where community trust, individual trust and institutional trust all intersect. That's why I'm excited by the work of Professor Johan Rockstrom and the Oceans and Poles Roundtable led by Keith Tuffley. Because at Villars, I want to learn how systems leaders scale community-level solutions like these to planetary challenges. And I want to bring that learning back to my community at home.